You've decided 2026 is your year. You've identified your one big focus. You've even blocked out time in your diary to work on it. You're ready to hit the ground running. Woohoo! But here's what normally happens next. You go too hard, too fast. You try to overhaul everything at once. You add business development on top of your already crushing workload. You say yes to every networking event, every non-chargeable opportunity, such as a, hey, come on the fundraising committee, and every opportunity to raise your profile. And I don't know about you, but if you're already feeling that this sounds exhausting, you're right. By week 3, you are probably exhausted. By week 6, you reverted back and you've probably quietly dropped most of your career development activities. And then by week 12, you're back where you started. Except now you feel shattered. You're ready for that next holiday. You're burnt out. And if you want to build real momentum with your career progression, right up from where you are through to partnership, you need to think like a marathon runner, not a sprinter. And that means pacing yourself from day one. This is the How to Make Partner podcast with me, Heather Townsend, the author of Poise of Partnership and co-author of How to Make Partners to Have a Life. In this podcast, I'll be highlighting some of the great stuff in our Progress to Partner Academy. New episodes are released weekly, so press subscribe so you never miss a new episode. Right. Let's talk about how to build momentum in your first 90 days without running yourself into the ground. And I see this pattern happening all the time. Someone gets serious about their career progression, maybe even taking the step up to partner. They read the books, they listen to this podcast, pops this one. They maybe even hire a coach, and we're there if you need us. They get all fired up and they're ready to transform their career. So they decide they need to do everything at once. They'll attend 3 networking events a week. They'll start writing thought leadership articles. They'll volunteer for the social committee, for the hunting team here. They'll rebuild their LinkedIn profile. They'll call every past client. They'll start delegating everything. Whew. And for about 2 weeks, they keep all these plates spinning, and then one plate drops, crash, then another, then the whole lot crashes down, and they just go back to doing client work because at least that's manageable. Now, this isn't a failure of commitment. It's a failure of your strategy. You can't add 15 hours of new activities to an already full week without something breaking, and usually what breaks is you. And we have this myth of just work harder in the professions. You know, in professional services, we've been conditioned to believe that the answer to every problem is working harder. Client needs something urgent, work harder. Want to make partner, work harder. Struggling to fit everything in, work harder. You get the picture. But here is the truth. And it's uncomfortable. You can't work your way to partnership by simply adding in more hours. If you're already at working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks as the normal, simply just adding another 10 hours for business development doesn't make you partnership material. You are not going to have the energy to go out to those evening networking events, those breakfast networking events. All it does is make you a candidate for burnout. The professionals who successfully make partner don't work more hours than anybody else. They work differently. They're ruthlessly selective about what they spend their time on. They delegate systematically. They say no to things that don't serve their partnership case, even when those things feel urgent. And making partner isn't about doing everything. It's about being choosy about what you do. It's about doing the right things consistently. And you can only do that if you've got the energy and the headspace to step back and think far more strategically and long-term about your career. So what are the 3 traps in those first 90 days of getting that momentum with your career? And these are the 3 traps that will kill the momentum. Let me walk you through them in this episode. Trap 1, trying to fix everything at once. You know, you've identified 10 things you need to improve to make partner. So you decide you're never going to tackle all. So you decide you're going to tackle all 10 simultaneously. This is like trying to juggle 10 balls when you've never juggled before. You're going to drop them all. Instead, pick one thing. And that's why we encourage people to set a one big focus. This is the big thing you're going to move forward in the next 90 days. Maybe it's winning work. Maybe it's building your profile. Maybe it's freeing up time through delegation. Whatever it is, focus on that one thing and let everything else wait. You can tackle the next thing in the following 90 days. But what if you don't know what is the thing you should tackle? Well, that's when you should do our free partnership readiness assessment. It will show you exactly the areas that you need to focus on. It's almost like having me and booking me as your coach for an hour to work on what are your gaps. So trap number 2 is not protecting your new habits. Perhaps you block out Tuesday afternoons for business development. That's great. But But then a partner asks if you're free Tuesday afternoon for a client meeting, and you say yes, because that's what you do with partners, because it might be dressed up as a request, but actually it's an order. And just like that, your business development time is gone. If you want your first 90 days to work, to move your career forward, to make that big step forward, you need to correct that time as fiercely as you protect time with your biggest client. Because you are your biggest client. When someone asks for that time, you say, I've got something in the diary, but I could do Wednesday morning instead. So trap 3, not giving yourself permission to rest. In the articles I've written about managing stress and avoiding burnout, in the podcast episodes I've recorded, I talk about the 4 foundational habits: sleep, movement, nutritious food, and recharge time. And when you're pushing hard on your career progression, these are the first things to go. You skip lunch to squeeze in another call. You work late instead of going for a walk. You sacrifice sleep to get through your to-do list. But here's what happens. Without proper rest and recovery, your brain doesn't work properly. You make poor decisions, you miss opportunities, you come across as tired and stressed, rather than energetic and ready and suitable for partnership. Burnout doesn't make you look committed. It makes you look like someone who can't manage their workload. You become a liability. So what should you do instead? Number 1, start smaller than feels comfortable. If you think you can manage 5 hours a week on business development, then don't go there. Start with 2 hours. If you think you can attend 2 networking events a month, start with 1. Build the habit first. You can always increase the intensity later. But if you start too big and burn out, you're back to 0. Second, build in review time. In Chapter 3 of Poise for Partnership, I talk about setting aside time each month to review your progress. Not just to see what you've achieved, but to honestly assess whether your plan is sustainable. If you're already feeling overwhelmed 3 weeks in, your plan is too ambitious. Scale it back now before you crash. Third, ruthlessly delegate or drop anything that doesn't serve your one big focus. Remember, you've only got capacity for one big push right now. Everything else needs to be either delegated to someone else, done at a lower standard, or dropped entirely. And yes, that might mean disappointing people. But disappointing people by saying no is better than disappointing them by burning out and letting them down completely. So let me give you an example. I worked with a senior associate who decided her one big focus was winning 150 grand of new work in 90 days. She was fired up, she was ready to go. Her initial plan: call 50 past clients, attend 8 networking events, write 6 articles, and completely rebuild her LinkedIn presence, all while maintaining her usual 60-hour work week. And you might be going, but that's extreme. Actually, no, this often happens. So I asked her, how long do you think you could sustain that place? And she said, probably about 3 weeks. So I said, scale it back, way back. She committed to calling just 10 past clients, 2 per week for 5 weeks. She picked 1 networking event for the whole quarter and she wrote 1 article. That's it. She said, but I'm being lazy. I need to do more. Like she wasn't pushing hard enough. But here's what happened. She did it all. She made all the 10 calls. She went to the networking event. She wrote and published those articles. And because she was really choosy with who she called and when she called them and why she called, she identified 3 genuine opportunities for new work. And by the end of 90 days, she'd smashed her target. She'd won 180 grand of new work. And if she'd stuck with her original plan, she would have made about 3 calls. Skipped most of the networking events because she was too tired, stuff was coming up, and never finished the articles. She'd have won nothing and felt terrible about herself. Key here is start smaller than feels comfortable. You're building a habit that needs to last years, not weeks. So the goal of your first 90 days isn't to transform overnight. It's to build sustainable habits that you can maintain for the next 2, 3, 4 years whilst you push your career forward. And if the plan that you put together makes you feel exhausted just thinking about it, it's too ambitious. Now, if you're thinking about it and go, well, where do I start? What do I need to do? Take our on-demand course, How to Truly Commit to Moving Your Career Forward, because it will address the risk of burnout. It will help you create that career development plan that's, whilst being ambitious, is sustainable. And it will challenge you to build in the processes and the habits to protect your well-being while you're pushing for partnership. The course helps you identify your one big focus, build your default diary to create protected time for you and your career, but critically develop the habits that keep you performing at your best without running it into the ground. It includes exercise on how to say no, delegation, and creating boundaries that protect your energy. But if you're going, that's great, okay, but where do I start with my career development gaps? start with our free partnership readiness assessment. It takes about 12 minutes and it gives you an instant report showing exactly which key indicators you need to focus on. This will help you identify your one big focus without trying to tackle everything at once. And I popped a link to the Partnership Readiness Assessment, our Progress to Partner Academy, directly in the show notes for this episode. Also in the show notes, you'll find links to my books, Poised for Partnership and How to Make Partners Still Have a Life, so you can easily find them on Amazon. And as a thank you for listening, there's also a link for a 10% discount on annual membership for our Progress to Partner Academy using the code podcast10. That's all for this episode of the How to Make Partner podcast. What's your action for this week? And for me, I would suggest look at your current plan for the next 90 days. Be brutally honest. Is it sustainable? If you're already feeling overwhelmed and you're only in week 2, scale it back now. Cut your plan in half, build the habit first. You can always increase intensity later, but you can't recover from burnout quickly. And if you're thinking, what plan, where do I start? Start with do the partnership readiness assessment and then buy an annual membership to Progress to Partner Academy and do the how to truly commit to your career going forward. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or give us a comment on Substack. This helps us get the word out to others who may need this advice too. Remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Thank you for listening.